In this video, we're going to share about a problem we had to solve with a new tool that we bought that we had no idea it was going to be a problem until well after we bought it. This is part of regular full-time RV life. Stay tuned. A few years before we sold our house in Omaha, I had finally bought one of those red pancake style air compressors. When I bought it, I had in mind that it would be part of our full-time RV life, and it has been. At some point in our RV planning process, I tried not to buy anything at the house that would not go into our full-time RV life with us. It just felt kind of wasteful knowing that we were downsizing already. This air compressor was bought when we had 5 cars at the house, us and our 3 daughters, and the cold winters in Nebraska required keeping the tires aired up in the colder temperatures. That's 20 tires for those that are not so good with math. I had been taking the cars to the nearby free air option at the Hy-Vee gas station near our house. An air compressor was such a splurge for me, but it was so much better than taking 5 cars over to Hy-Vee. But it was actually really handy in our RV life too. Now we only have 14 tires to maintain, not 20. 6 big truck tires on the motorhome, 4 on the car trailer, and 4 on the car. So the challenge was that the air compressor was a little bit heavy to carry around and awkward, and if the trailer had to be stored off-site away from us and there was not electricity nearby, that means I have to charge up the air compressor and drive it over to the trailer, and one time the tank just wasn't enough, so I had to go back and air it up some more, and another round trip, and so on and so forth, and it just took way too long to do simple tire air pressure maintenance before travel day. And the weight and bulk of this air compressor meant we had to strap it to the front of the trailer to make sure it didn't roll around on travel days. It could easily bang up the cars, the bikes, and pretty much everything if it got loose. So while it did work, with time, it really was pretty inconvenient in practice. And then I saw Chad on Changing Lanes, one of my favorite YouTube channels, mention a DeWalt battery-powered 20-volt air compressor. Our kids needed an air compressor in Omaha, I told myself, to justify this and to keep their car tires aired up conveniently, living in cold Nebraska winter still. So we gave them the old air compressor and got the new one. However, very soon after I promised the old air compressor to the kids, I realized a shortcoming of the new air compressor, which is the main point of this video. The rear tires of the motorhome are such that the DeWalt air compressor would not work as is. Reaching the valve stem of the rear motorhome tires wasn't possible without adding something more to this air compressor. This is how we did it with the old air compressor, and the attachments let you easily reach the inside rear tires and also the outside tire with the valve stem that points inward. So here's a quick demo of how the DeWalt works. The hose here has a valve stem size connector, and you just screw it directly onto the tire valve stem. Then you power on with this button. It reads the PSIs that are currently there, 40.3. You spin the wheel on the right up to 42, what I want for this car tire, and you press play, and you can hear it running and running. It takes a little while, but when it reaches the setting on the right, it automatically turns off. So what I needed to do is connect this extended reach dual head air chuck with a 1/4 inch female NPT connection into the hose of the DeWalt. So I needed fittings to make that work. If you don't happen to know this already, these air chucks have the ability to push air out the top here and through this other port. This allows me to reach the back inside tire valve stem through that hole. It also allows me to reach the valve stem that's pointing inward by using this one. After multiple incorrect Amazon orders trying to learn about these fittings and sizes, I started making trips to Harbor Freight and Tractor Supply store nearby, and hallelujah, finally found the missing link that let me put it all together. Tractor Supply had this piece they call a carry tank valve. It has the valve stem side and threading on one side up to a 1/8 inch on the other side. All right, here we are putting it all together. We have this 1/4 inch into the air chuck down to a 1/8 inch into this piece I found at Tractor Supply, 1/8 inch down to the valve stem size, which goes into the hose on the DeWalt. This was the exact right combination I needed, and let me build the solution I needed. Here it is plugged into the DeWalt. It works perfectly. The caveat here is that I do not screw an end onto a valve stem. I must press it on the valve stem while the DeWalt runs, but it works fine. For anyone watching who knows tire stuff better than me, someone did recommend valve stem extenders, and I got a set of quality ones and started to install them. But the more I learned about it, the more I learned these can be pretty risky and actually can cause you to lose air pressure in the tires. Ideally, they want you to take your tire to a professional shop and have the valve stems themselves replaced with longer stems and not use these extenders. In addition to the extender, after I had the extenders in hand, I realized and learned you must buy a grommet, a plastic piece that goes inside the hole of the tire to hold the valve extender steady, because going down the highway, that valve extender puts unnecessary wear and tear on the valve stem, which can cause air loss. So I decided I didn't like any of that as a risk or possibility, so I sent those back and went down this other path. If I could just connect my new DeWalt to the air chuck, everything would be great. And now you've seen how we did that as well. And now that I had the solution figured out for our little tiny problem here, I wanted to keep it all together so I didn't lose this new air chuck and the adapters and fittings. So I bought a nifty bag. Everything fits inside. It was sized exactly appropriately for this DeWalt air compressor. And being married to Rhoda means we like to keep things organized and have a place for everything and everything in its place, and containers for stuff as often as possible. So this wasn't too big of a splurge. As always, if you get any value, comedic or otherwise, from watching our content, please like this video, please subscribe to the channel, and keep watching. Thank you.